Right. And so, again, that's the thing that you want to keep in mind. That really what holds people up from seeing evolution and still is problematic, even in the 21st century, even after almost 200 years of Darwin's discovery, that we have a hard time understanding the notion of change and constant change in general. And then the particulars of that change is even harder, right? So um, there is something to the nature of our minds which um, appreciates or tends to be dominated by certain sort of static sort of ideas of the world, of identity, etc. So that's what has to be overcome. But um, both Christian monotheism and Greek philosophy uh, were sort of operating against that idea, is what the text is saying at this point. Okay, so it all comes down to sort of the great chain of being. So that's the sort of metaphor from that Darwin has to overcome. So the great chain of being is a pyramid, right? Comes from the ancient world, where lower animals are at the bottom, and then at the top are humans, and finally God, right? So it's hierarchical and foundational, and it's known as the great chain of being, the metaphor. Darwin will come up with the great tree of life, right, which will be the opposite, right, of what a pyramid is. So it'll be a tree trunk and then branches growing out, right, talking about the idea of a common progenitor and then various descendants, right. So that's what he has to overcome, right. And then a great line here, right. So what Darwin is trying to get us to, or what Darwin gets us to with his revolution, and it's a revolution of evolutionary theory and natural selection, is it's moving from the closed world to more of an infinite universe. And that's what our mind has to grasp in order to understand evolution and natural selection. And as I said before, that's not something that even now people are comfortable doing. And Darwin says it himself at the end of The Origin of Species that, he's not really sure that our minds can really deal with sort of the nature of this idea that he is proposing.